Good evening, Madam Moderator. This is Dick Newmeyer speaking about Article 8 of Special Town Meeting, Reduce Legal Expenses. I must apologize to Town Meeting for my failure to bring this up before. Years ago, my failure has resulted in depriving Town Meeting of the opportunity to save Lexington taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to speak about 4 items tonight. First is, what is the town spending on legal expenses? Second is, what is it spending it for? Third is, are there any alternatives to what we're doing? And fourth is to reply to a few comments made in the Appropriations Majority Report. First question, what are we spending? When I was first elected to town meeting back in 1989, I thought the answer to that question was in item 801 of the budget book. The budget book is very thick, and if you look all through it, you will find no reference to spending money for council fees other than item 801, which for this year and the past few years has been $410,000. In fact, we are spending over $100,000 a year under other line items. And in the past 3 years, we've averaged $510,920. Next question is, what are we spending it for? Well, we have a bylaw that requires town council to identify each year how various cases have been handled, settled, and so forth. Here's a list of trials: 0 trials in 10 years, agreed to dismissal or stipulation, 19 of those in 10 years, summary judgment, 27, 7 settlements. In other words, out of 68 cases, none went to trial. The skills necessary to handle these cases are possessed by the Lexington High School mock trial team. And we can't hire them because they don't have a legal license. But for these cases, there's no requirement to give a closing argument to a jury, hardly ever cross-examine anybody. You just send a young lawyer in and say, Judge, assuming the plaintiff, everything the plaintiff said is true, it doesn't state a claim for relief, dismiss the case. What else does town council do? Well, one of the things I learned in the process of working on this is town council reviews citizens' positions. Here is an email to me dated February 28, 2020, saying there's a small edit from town council changing 8200 to 8220. I had made a typographical mistake, and we have to send this to outside counsel for correction. I didn't know that. Do we really need to hire outside counsel to read citizens' petitions? I don't think so. Next, in terms of what council does, I'd like to take a look at an interim report dated November 18, 2006, and more particularly, a statement that was made at the end describing an addendum by Stephen Politi, where he says the committee has been informed that approximately 80% of Lexington's legal work falls into the routine category. That's still true today. Now, the question presented by this petition is, what are the alternatives for this 80%? And I'd like just to point out that the American Bar Association, the ABA Journal, pointed out that in 9 states, including Massachusetts, we have a majority of lawyers not working as lawyers. Now, some people go to law school and they decide, I'd like to do something else, but most people actually go to law school and incur that expense because they would like to work as a lawyer. The National Law Journal reported in 2018, in the second consecutive month, that as the U.S. economy was continuing to grow, as President Trump used to say, there were fewer legal jobs. What is the market like for House counsel working for towns in Massachusetts? Here's an ad that appeared in the July 2019 issue of the Lawyers Weekly for assistant city attorney, third assistant. You can see the duties required, experience in various things, and the pay grade is $45,000 to $60,000. There'll be 75 applications submitted for that. Here's another one, Associate City Solicitor to New Bedford. The salary is a little higher here, $70,000, $86,000. Must have 5 years experience, have all these knowledge in various areas of the law relevant to municipal practice, and there'll be 100 applications for that one. Now, let's go to the statements made by the Appropriations Committee that I want to comment on. The Appropriations Committee says it's not clear whether the community the size of Lexington would have enough routine work to occupy an in-house lawyer full-time. That citation page is, by the way, is to the spring report. They say the same thing in the fall report. They don't say what, if anything, they did to determine whether this was correct or not. But here's a list of 7 towns. There's an error actually on Woburn. Woburn has closer to 40,000 than 35,000, but the rest of the numbers are correct. All these towns have looked at the same question I'm asking town meeting to look at. Does it make sense to hire inside counsel for the routine work? And they all said yes. Then the Appropriations Committee also says, quote, the Select Board has periodically convened special committees to examine the issue and make recommendations. Those committees, while it recognizes there may be reasonable alternatives, have consistently recommended continuation of the current arrangements. Again, the citation on that is to the original report. Well, I read that. It was kind of a surprise to me. And I sent an email to the chair of the Appropriations Committee, May 30, 2020, quoting the footnote and stating, I think town meeting members would be interested in reading such recommendations since the November 18, 2006 interim report. Can the AC supplement its latest report by referencing where these recommendations can be read? I'm still awaiting a response to that email. And it was sent to Glenn Parker, who has more knowledge about what's in the town archives than any other person in town meeting. I would be happy to answer any questions. I did finish up with a job description of the Woburn city solicitor. She's been working there for 10 years. And these are the things that she's expected to do. And I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.